All right, so it's that time again, and we're going to talk about the election for 2022, the midterms. And I will talk about several things here. Number one, House races, how the Republicans will more than likely take the House, and the Senate races, how the Republicans really have a really good shot of not only winning the Senate back, but also extending it to as many as 54 seats. And we're going to talk about RINOS and kicking them out the door, how many we can get. Looks like anywhere around 4 to 6. And I'm going to give the caveat as well in this video. So we're going to talk about that. All right. My name is Kyle and welcome to the channel. Please consider liking and subscribing. In this video, like I said before, this is going to be our Senate and House and kicking the RINOS out the door video. And this is the early video, and I'm going to first let you know that this information I got from 538, but also mainly from Red Eagle Politics. If you want more information in detail, check out his channel. It's really amazing. I'm taking about 4 or 5 of his videos and putting them into one, and so I'm not gonna get into the details that he went into because you don't really care about that. You're really here for a summary. It's still very early on. As you get further on, and as I learn more about this, because I'm still learning this new election cycle, I will have more detail on my own. This is a preliminary promise to you, tell you what's going to happen, hopefully, in 2022. Okay, so let me first deal with the elephant in the room. Pun is absolutely intended. This video is about elections, and so I can't say what I want to say. And if you missed the video before the last video where I talked about going to the conservativetake.com, there I have videos up there for members only. Right now, it's a free setup. All you have to do is come up to the conservativetake.com, come up top, go to login, and there it'll ask you to log in, but at the bottom there will be a section for you to actually register. That is going to be free, and doing so, that will allow you to actually come into the site and then you have access to other videos. Why is that important? Because, like I said before, because YouTube is doing what it's doing, I can't say exactly what I want to say. So I'm putting videos out there behind this particular password system. Eventually it will be a paywall. Right now it's completely free. The first few hundred, I believe. And because I don't know what I'm going to do down the road, but I just know I need to have something in place right now. So go there, check out this video, explain the caveats to all of this. Because as you know, I can't say what I want to say. I do not want this video to be monetized or taken down, anything like that. So it's not worth it, okay? All right, so that being said, let's talk about the House of Representatives. What does that actually mean? All right, now let's talk about the races. Okay, let's first start with the House of Representatives. There are currently 435 voting members. There's additional 6 or 7 more, but we're only dealing with the 435 voting members. Right now, the Democrats hold the majority by 220 to 211. I'm going to break it down. People who don't really know what this all means. Okay, so based on the population of the country, all in the Constitution, representatively speaking, broken out into these 435 voting areas by law. And so you're representative by how much voting power you have based on how many people you have in your district. Okay, and the representative covers that amount of area. Right. So essentially what happens is every 2 years you have a full race of all these seats. Right. It's just a free-for-all for every single seat. Right now, Democrats are up 220 to 211, and what the House is responsible for is essentially the budgets and some other things too, but mostly the financial side of the Congress. Senate deals with more personnel issues like confirmation. So that being said, what we're looking at now, last election, Republicans were able to crush the election in 20 on the House level. The Republicans did really, really well 2020. And the situation really here is that can the Republicans pick up an additional 9 or 10 seats? Really, they just need 5. When you flip it, it's going to be +1 -5. So really it's about 5 seats for the Republicans to flip. Also to hold the seats before, because you don't want to lose seats. You want to just pick up seats. All right, so in this case, the Republicans are in good position to do exactly that. It appears that right now, that based on the election climate, in terms of the national census, the Biden administration, people are upset, angry, many different reasons. Even sites like 538 are saying it's going to take a popular vote or popular leaning consensus in the country leaning left will the Democrats have a chance at keeping the House. Right now, the House is led by Nancy Pelosi. She's the Speaker. And it looks like right now, 2022, he's going to be gone and there will be a Republican lead. So I'm not going to go through all the House seats there. Will the Ready to Go Politics site himself, and he'll go through each one particularly. But what I want to point your attention to is there's something called the 52% Club. And what this is it's something by a guy named Jim Ellis, and it essentially says that when you have an incumbent who won a re-election by fewer than 52% of the votes, it makes the seat really, really winnable. And if you look here right now from 2020, look what happened here. You see all blue, okay, which means these seats all here are up in the air and pretty much, are going to be contested. And remember, the Republicans only have to pick up like 5. But from what I've been looking at so far, they could pick up as many as 15 seats. And that would be a swing big time. So we're looking at about 95% chance that the Republicans will win back the House in 2022. Pretty much everyone's saying that. But again, go back to that video as my caveat video. And if you probably already know where I'm going with that. All right, so we're going to leave this right here. I could pick out some seats here particularly, but I'm not going to do that because quite frankly, I don't know these people as much. I'm more going to focus on the Senate side because that's where it's more interesting. And this is kind of a foregone conclusion for now. Still very early, but we're going to leave this here, right? So let's go on to the Senate. Here we have the Senate map for 2022. And the way the Senate works is this: you have 100 Senate seats exactly because you have 2 per state. And they do this on 6-year terms. So for the election purposes, they break it down roughly a third per cycle. So every 2 years, you have about a third of the Senate running. So right here in this particular map here is what the consensus is for 2022 in terms of what's going to happen in terms of who's going to win these races. Toss-ups are Pennsylvania, North Carolina, but we're going to talk about it in a second. Nevada and Arizona also are possible. That's going to be the 2 key areas I think that Republicans can really pick up in terms of icing on the cake. And now it leans blue, but I think that those 2 states are definitely a possibility. All right. The other one would be Wisconsin, which right here they have as being leaning Republican, which is probably exactly right. Then you have Georgia here as well, which could also go to Republicans. So let's take a look at this map here. I have a list of all of the Senate races, and I mentioned to you about the RINOS. Okay, but here are all the races that are going to come up for the Senate for 2022. I highlight the ones in yellow, which we're going to look at. Okay, ones who are in blue here are your RINOS, your Murkowskis, your Boozmans, your Crappos, and well, Chuck Grassley is not RINO, but he's old, and we'll talk about him in a second. And let's go down to James Lankford in Oklahoma, Jim Thune, and Mike Lee. We all know about him. All right, so we're gonna go through this real quickly, but we already showed you this map here. So let's just tick off Georgia, let's tick off Nevada, and let's tick off Arizona, and let's tick off Wisconsin. Okay, so these are essentially 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are 6 seats. Okay, right now this would be 47-47, but let's just consider that Ted Budd's going to win North Carolina. Okay, and then you have Wisconsin, which they already feel that we're going to win that as well. So let's tick off Wisconsin. So now you're really left with Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Nevada and Arizona. These 2 are going to leave for last because those are the ones that are, like I said before, are the icing on the cake. Right now we're sitting at 49-47. Now remember, a tie doesn't help Republicans because the vice president breaks that tie. So you really need 51 to technically take back Senate. Okay, so they need 2 more seats. To get that, they need to get 2 of these seats here. And that would be, I think Pennsylvania would be a strong candidate right there. Because if we look at this particular race here, let's go back to Pennsylvania down here. And now that's held by Pat Toomey, but he's retiring. And so the key here, who is running, is this guy named Sean Parnell, okay? And this guy here is more than likely the best candidate that we have. He run in Pennsylvania. And dealing with the map in Pennsylvania, it's definitely going red, okay? And so with the sentiment there in Pennsylvania, it's a very strong possibility that based on his backing that he can actually take Pennsylvania, and it's actually pretty likely. But right now, it's still pretty early. But we're going to go ahead and tick Pennsylvania over to the red column. Now, the next column is, I mentioned North Carolina with Ted Budd. That's a pretty good race there as well. And I think North Carolina is definitely going to go in the direction of Republicans. Richard Burr is retiring. Goodness. Ted Budd's going to be your candidate there more than likely. He has the endorsement of Trump, which is important. Pat McCrory still says he's going to run. He's the former governor of North Carolina. And of course, Mark Walker. So whoever wins this race pretty much is going to win. I mean, they're just all strong candidates. I mean, Ted Budd, McCrory, and Mark Walker, they're all really strong candidates. So whoever wins that primary is going to be pretty much, in my opinion, a shoo-in for that particular seat. Let's come down to Georgia, which is very interesting because as a kid, I grew up watching the Georgia Bulldogs, and this guy who ran the football by the name of Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker is probably the greatest athlete in college history, period. He's just phenomenal. This guy even went into the Olympics as a bobsledder. The guy's just phenomenal. He can still do things that, men a third of his age can't do. But that's not really that important. I just like Herschel Walker. He's an awesome dude. But he could be the candidate there in Georgia. And I think if he runs, I think he will absolutely give the incumbent, Raphael Warnock, a run for money. Because, they're both black. And I guess that matters in Georgia. Georgia's clearly going to the left. It's going to be like Virginia soon, unfortunately, but it's not quite there yet. The thing about Georgia is that the Republican Party there just pretty much sucks. And if they were better there, they could probably sort off this movement to the left quicker. But because they're incompetent, they're probably not. But for now, I think Herschel Walker runs. I think Georgia is a likely candidate to flip, because he will carry, Herschel Walker that is, he will carry the star power, he will carry the ability for the state in the rural areas to really gravitate towards him, okay? And so I think Georgia, if he runs, will be I would say, quite frankly, a lean Republican. Now, even if Herschel doesn't win, there's other candidates in there that could do the same thing, but I think Herschel is probably their best bet. Wisconsin, we're talking about a guy named Ron Johnson. I believe he got the endorsement from Trump, and with that in place, that's pretty much all he's going to need to win that. And the thing about Wisconsin is you have the areas called the WOW counties, which are Washington and another county starts to the O, another W county. Those are conservative establishment type counties in Wisconsin. It's key for Republicans to win those counties. Joseph McCain's, those Romney counties, but there's also to the west, there's more of rural presence, and those counties are getting more and more red. So Wisconsin is turning to be a solid red state, and it's just interesting to see how this realignment is happening. As Georgia's turning blue, you have Minnesota, you have Wisconsin, you have Ohio is red, and so it's just interesting to see how this stuff happens every single cycle. Speaking of realignments, let's talk about Nevada, okay? Nevada is interesting because that's definitely a lean Democrat state. However, people from California are migrating into Nevada and turning the state slowly to red. Interesting. And so you have conservatives trying to get the hell out of California because it sucks. We all know that. And so Nevada is interesting because that state is a state that could definitely flip. You have a person who's the incumbent, is Catherine Cortez Masto. He is the particular incumbent. And right now, Nevada doesn't really have a good candidate right now. But if they can put together a decent candidate, Nevada has a shot. It's not likely now, but it has a shot. And lastly, let's go back to, we'll just put this here. Now, right now we're at 52. Now, if we go back up here, let me back up. If we add these states here, we added Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, and these are really key here, okay? This is what Red Eagle talks about. These three are absolutely key, because if you get these three, then you're over the goalpost, right? So you toss in Nevada as a possibility, like I just said, if you get a good candidate. Now, lastly, we move to Arizona. Arizona is a state which just announced yesterday that they're going to not use the machines from last time, which could be really important. This is in Maricopa County. And in Arizona, let's take a look at that. Now, in Arizona, we have the incumbent here is going to be your Democrat, Mark Kelly. And the thing about Mark Kelly is he is pretty much riding that fence, man. He's not making the Republicans upset there. so he's not hated by Republicans yet. And so he's probably definitely the favorite there. But this guy named Mark Brnovich, if he can actually come in and make a strong run, he has a shot at this, and he can actually give Mark Kelly a run. Still very early, and so we just don't know. So again, Arizona and Nevada are the kind of states that we don't really know right now, but let's just put it in there as well. So I forgot to mention one more seat, and that is New Hampshire. This one here, if going red, could actually make it so that the Republicans could get as many as 54. Now, I know this is a really optimistic deal, but this is maxing out our possibilities. And with an election year where people are not happy with the current administration, anger, and the fact that people are still going to show up even with Donald Trump's not on the ballot, people saying, well, it's not going to happen. Well, it happened in Texas and happened in Pennsylvania, and New Mexico didn't happen because the Republicans were really much incompetent there. But for the most part, the national climate matters, and we don't know what's going to happen between now and later. Right now, it appears that it's definitely swinging to a populist nationalist agenda. Gun control is bringing down the electorate. People want safety. There's crime through the roof, and you have situations with the border, immigration. That's also a huge issue. Free speech, big tech, everything is really affecting the climate with people. And so they want normality and they want stability, and the Democrats are not offering it. The administration is horrible. That kind of climate absolutely affects voter turnout. Look at 2018 when Trump had just elected in 2016. 2018, it was a total blue moment because there was so much pushback against Trump. Of course, it was not right. It was BS because of what's going on with the fake collusion stuff. It didn't matter. People believed it, and in turn, they swung the other way. Midterms tend to do that. Even Reagan lost over 20 seats when he in office. So he was a very popular president. So with this in mind, New Hampshire is a seat that is definitely winnable. And let's look at that one. This guy here running against Maggie Hassan, who is your incumbent, is Donald Bolduc. He is a retired military army officer. He's a former general. And this guy here, from his videos, he appears to be really, really a strong candidate, but we'll have to see how that plays out. But you add that together, you have potentially 54 seats up for grabs for the Republican Party. Let's say worst case, you lose Nevada. Let's say you lose Arizona, which is likely both of these, because these are kind of like, hopefuls. Sorry about that. Let me go back. And let's say you lose New Hampshire as well. That still puts you over the top there. Okay. So I know what some of you guys are saying. Hey, Kyle, I understand. I get the whole caveat thing. I get that. I get the fact that these states here in brown probably could easily go to Democrats, and that our best shot at getting 51 is Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. However, what happens if we have our RINOS and at 51, we don't have a majority? We have it on paper, but not in reality. But that's why I want to finish this video out with this last segment dealing with the RINOS. As I mentioned before, in blue, appropriately, are the Republicans who are the RINOS. So we'll go through these quickly. And so Murkowski, we know about her. He's famous. He has no excuse for being a RINO deep red state person who's declared to run. Kelly Trubisky, candidate. Sarah Palin may decide to run again. Governor does, then we know it's going to be Palin running away. But Kelly will win anyway. Murkowski is in trouble there. So next up, we have John Boozman, the RINO, and he is looking to be challenged by probably the most conservative one in here. That's Jan Morgan. He is a gun range owner, and he's probably the likely candidate to go against him in the primary. And I think very much she could win that particular primary. So these two could be out. That'd be good. From Idaho, we have a person by the name of Mike Crapo. He's a RINO. He's got issues from the past and going against policies of the MAGA movement. And so he is looking like he could be primaried. And the key person there to run against is none other than a guy by the name of Raul Labrador. Look for him. This is an unlikely scenario, but it is possible to get him out of there. Grassley is just old. His son may be the one replacing him, but he's okay. He's not really a RINO, but he is going to be there. And so we don't know what he's going to do yet. But if not, his son, I believe his son's name is Pat, would be the one more than likely to take that spot. Let's come down to Oklahoma. This is an interesting race here because the incumbent is running, and this is the RINO James Langford. And he's looking to get Trump's endorsement. Hasn't happened yet, but the person who's going against him is a pastor by the name of Jackson Laymayer. He is a solid MAGA candidate. and so he could get the endorsement. And even if not, he could still win that primary regardless. So the next rhino on the list is John Thune. We know about him as well. This guy is being challenged by a guy named Mark Lowry. Keep an eye on that one. This one is not that likely, but it is possible to get John Thune out of there as well. Particularly if you remember that the whole election could just move on emotion and the climate as we go forward. So we'll have to see there. And lastly, we're looking at Mike Lee from Utah. This guy here, yep, there is no candidate there running against him right now that we know about. But if the Republicans can put up a good challenger against him as well, all of these particular primaries could flip. Hopefully they will flip, and we'll see what Trump does with his endorsements and how hard the Republican Party moves to put in MAGA, America First candidates. For now, it looks like the Republicans have a good shot of winning the Senate and a almost certain chance of winning the House, and hopefully kicking out a few rhinos along the way, as many as 6 by my count. So I hope this was a useful video. Again, go to Red Eagle Politics, check this out. He says essentially the same things, goes into more detail. He's a political channel. I'm not as much, but I do want to give a summary of several of his videos together, put it out there so you guys can see for yourselves what the climate looks like right now. And it is hopeful going forward. But again, I point back to that video on theconservativetake.com, which I can't talk about right here. In that video, I lay it all out, say what I want, because, you know, this is the times we live in. Anyway, if you like that, let me know, because I can do more of these going forward. Okay, I'm just curious to know what the climate is in terms of what people want to see on this channel. Still trying to figure that out, and that input will let me know if I want to do more of these. Mainly, I'll do maybe 1 or 2 every other month until we get closer to primaries. And if you like what we do on this channel, take pop culture and politics and filter to you in a conservative manner, please click the like and subscribe button and that bell icon so you don't miss any future content. And also, if you want to support this channel, there's a join button. You can click that to find out how to do that. Also, if you want to find out more about this channel, you can click on some more content that we have for you on the screen right